The front handspring is one of the basic staples of front tumbling. After the hurdle, the gymnast reaches out and down to the floor with the arms close to the ears at approximately shoulder's width. The hands make ground contact with an instant arms repulsion while the front legs make a powerful push off the floor and the back leg makes a strong kick, bringing the whole body to a tight arched flying phase that ideally continues with a quick vertical rebound, with the gymnast changing shape into a straighter body line. One interesting fact is that while in a good round off, the first hand touches the floor with the front foot still on ground contact. In powerful front handsprings, the front leg often is already off the floor before the hands touch down. This does not mean that the athlete should intentionally make a high dive from feet to handstand, but just reach far ahead during the legs push and kick actions. These are some fair examples of a hurdle with one bent leg to front handsprings followed by quick feet rebounds. Notice the arms up close to the head during the hurdle. The strong legs push and kick, taking the body off the floor while reaching for the ground. The tight arch flying phase, maintained all the way to feet ground contact. The quick vertical rebound, with the body shape changing to a straighter position. This gymnast is practicing standing power hurdles to handspring rebounds. Check again the straight body line shape before ending the rebound air time.
In order to perform the skill of the front handspring, there are 6 important phases which we must hit. Phase 1 is the run-up. The goal of this phase is to get the momentum to aid in the pop-off in order to push yourself forward through the movement. Phase 2 is the hurdle phase. This is where the athlete jumps and drives one knee up and forward, again, gaining momentum for the rest of the movement as well as positioning the athlete for success. Phase 3 is the handstand phase. From the hurdle phase, you are going to go down into the position similar to the basic handstand. In this phase, we are looking to get positioning, slightly bend the elbows, and depress the shoulders in order to get maximum propulsion up and forward. Phase 4 is the pop-off phase. The pop-off phase is where we create the propulsion and power necessary in order to complete the movement. The elbows extend and the shoulders elevate, creating the popping motion to start the rotation necessary. Phase 5 is the backbend phase. This phase is when the torso is coming up and your legs are coming down. In this phase you want to look like a rainbow. It is necessary to start the activation of the core, especially rectus abdominis, in order to pull with the legs momentum to get the athlete in the upright position in order to land. Phase 6 is the landing phase. In this phase, core engagement is critical.
I chose to take my video from the side because that is the angle where you see most of the movement from the best. From this angle, we can see joint angles at the knees, hips, elbows, and shoulders. We can also see if the athlete is rotating to the side, which is not a desired aspect of the movement. His clothing needs to be somewhat form-fitting due to the nature of the exercise. We need to examine the backward bend at the spine as well as the movement of the hips, and with loose-fitting clothing, we would not be able to see these movements. At this point, we cannot look at the outcome of the movement. We need to look purely at the form and Phase 1 does not have any issues. Chad may take any approach he wished in order to build momentum. Phase 2 is where we start to see problems. Instead of the upward motion and knee drive, we see him go in a downward motion, which not only makes the pop-off phase harder, but does not give us the correct momentum, putting more stress on the elbow joints to produce power. Phase 3, there were a few things wrong in the phase. He was throwing himself through the movement. He wasn't using all of his muscles to have a strong handstand. He was bending his elbows so that he would fall before he could finish the movement. His shoulders were not depressed, and he was relying solely on his arm strength to propel him. He also does not have correct form at the lower extremities. Instead of having his legs straight and throwing them forward, they are bent, throwing him straight downward. Phase 4, Chad was not able to push off his hands because he was not strong enough to push off from the elbow bend he had created, resulting in the arms giving out. Phase 5, his back bend was more tabletop looking rather than a long arched rainbow. He lacks back flexibility as well as the desired straight leg position. Phase 6. In this phase, it is really important to land on the balls of your feet, and Chad was landing on his heels, so he would slide forward and fall. He was also not using the momentum from the movement, engaging all of his muscles to bring his torso back up. His core was lax, and instead of pulling himself up, he fell. Corrections. We had to basically break the whole movement down. He wasn't able to do a handstand or a back bend. Those are two really important parts of the movement. We worked on back flexibility, engaging his core. Wall handstands. When you're learning to do a handstand, you first start off by doing it against the wall. I had Chad do this once, and once he felt comfortable doing it, we moved away from the wall. This is done to encourage the third phase to help him get straight up in the necessary position. Wall walk downs. This drill is to help with back flexibility, and you have to put your hands on the wall, then walk down as far as possible. Since we saw Chad had minimal flexibility, this is essential so he can create enough power without it. Back bends from laying down. Like the wall handstands, there is a progression of movement. We started laying on the ground and pushing up into the back bend. This actively encourages the last, most important piece of the movement in order to land, standing up from back bend. This drill is to help Chad get used to engaging his core and help get his torso up so he doesn't fall backwards. Timbers. This is where Chad gets into a strong handstand and falls into a back bend. This helps with back flexibility, engaging his core, actively gets him accustomed and more comfortable with the movement by helping him land on the balls of his feet.
Chad plays many sports, but they are all totally different from gymnastics. Since he plays sports such as soccer and basketball, which while incorporating the whole body, does not have any of the spinning movements we see in gymnastics. Furthermore, sports such as basketball encourage forward posture instead of the backward bend we need in gymnastics. He was not built like a gymnast, and finding movements that were similar was hard. His center of mass is lower, and he is a lot taller than the classical gymnast. I connected the different movements through analogies and having him picture different things in his head. While teaching phase 3, I told him that his arms were his helmet and that his body should be straight like a pencil. During phase 5, I told him his body should be like a rainbow instead of a table. In phase 6, the analogy was his arm should come up like a windmill. Progress. The front handspring is a hard move to learn for someone who has never done gymnastics in their life. There are moves you have to learn and master before you can get the front handspring. Chad has made some progress. He can do a handstand and he can do a back bend now, but he can't bring all the moves together in a motion yet. We see that flexibility is slightly better. His elbows do not bend as much. His shoulders are depressing and elevating properly, and instead of falling straight down, his feet hit first. He is just unable to pull himself upwards. With more practice, he definitely will be able to do this one.